Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing our pancake challenge today. I am demonstrating, woohoo, chocolate chip banana pancakes, and I'm going to make them into a little snowman. So first thing that we always do whenever we're doing any kind of baking recipe is we're getting our dry ingredients out. So I have a large bowl. This is what you will need for your dry ingredients because you will be adding your wet to your dry. So this is my recipe for pancakes. I love this recipe. I have perfected it over the years. So we start off with 1.3 cups of flour. So as we all know how to do flour, we heap, tap, and scrape. And then my 1/3 cup, heap, tap, scrape. Okay, and as always, cleaning my station as I go. Then I need some sugar. This is kind of like my little secret ingredient in the pancakes. It makes it even better. So we're going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar. This one's a little chunky. Get that chunk out of there. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then I need baking powder. So I need 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So this, as we know, is the leavening agent. Okay, so just carefully heap, tap, and scrape that. And then our last dry ingredient that we need is salt. So we need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So now what you want to do with this dry mixture is you want to whisk it together. A whisk is a really good tool to use to bring all of the dry ingredients together and distribute them evenly. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and get started on my wet ingredients. So the first thing I need is butter or margarine, and I need 3 tablespoons of that. And we are going to melt it. So I'm just going to give my tablespoon just a wipe out. Okay, and we all know how to do this at this stage. Heap it, pack it in, and scrape it off. Okay, so I've got a decent sized glass measuring or a glass dish, custard dish here, so that it won't overflow or anything like that. And 3. Now at home, of course, I definitely prefer to use butter, but for school purposes, margarine is a heck of a lot cheaper. Okay, so just kind of get that down in there, and I'm going to throw it in the microwave for, I'm going to try 20 seconds to start. Okay, while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to get my egg ready. So as we all know with our eggs, right, we always crack it into a separate custard dish so that we don't get shells into our bowl. So on a flat surface, tap it and crack it in there. Okay, whoops, give my hands a little wash. Okay, now my butter should be done. Awesome, 20 seconds is perfect. So even though I can still see a little bit of the butter in there, it's all mixed together nicely. Okay, next I'm going to grab my milk. So I need 1 cup of milk. We should know how to measure out our liquid ingredients at this stage. Okay, so I have a 1 cup measure here, so I am going to be filling up to the top and looking at it at eye level. Okay. Now, we want to keep the milk nearby because depending on the thickness of the pancakes that you want, sometimes you can add more milk to thin it out a little bit. So I always kind of leave it by. The recipe actually called for 1.25 cups, but I always add 1 cup to start and then add more if needed. Okay, so I'm going to put my milk in my bowl. So this is kind of like a medium-sized bowl. And I'm going to add my egg to it. Okay, and before I add my melted butter or margarine, I'm going to give it a little whisk to whisk up the egg, and I'm going to add my vanilla. So just break up the yolk and mix that in until the egg is all mixed in. Okay, and then I'm going to add my teaspoon of vanilla. So never measure over the bowl, right? Measure over the counter. If you get a little extra, it's not going to hurt it too much. Okay, just like that. And Shay, could you put the phone away and turn around? Thank you. Okay, now we're going to add our butter mixture to our milk mixture. Now what can happen, especially with butter, is it solidifies a little bit in your mixture, but that's fine. It's not going to hurt it. Okay, so mix that in. All right. So now this is the stage where I'm going to turn on my pan, okay, because I want it to start preheating before I add in my fillings, okay, so that they're ready. So you guys are going to use the large one tomorrow. You can also, if you want to do multiple, you can do your large and your medium at the same time, okay, just so that you have more surfaces that you can cook them. And you want to put it on about, which one is it? Yeah. You want to put it on about medium to medium high. So you don't want it too high because that'll burn your pancakes, and the middle will still be undercooked. So you want it at about medium high. So I would say about like a 6 or so. Okay, before I move on, I'm going to add my fillings at this stage. So I am doing banana chocolate chip. So I want to add banana to my wet mixture before I add it to my dry mixture. So I'm just going to grab a bowl. What?
Is that banana cold in the middle?
Cold? No.
Because I just had a banana and it was really cold in the middle.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like I could not chew it because my teeth are really sensitive.
Oh, I see, I see. No, I don't. I think it's fine.
No, I just took it out of my bag.
Maybe it was cold in your bag from coming here. I'm just going to cut off some of the brown bits. Okay, they're edible, but they're just a little bit bruised. Okay, and I'm going to just cut it into sections and grab a fork and just give this a mash, because if I was going to try to mash it in with that mixture, it just would not work. So you just mash it up against the side of the bowl. You definitely want to use a softer banana for this kind of thing, because a harder, like a less ripe banana will be too hard to mash. Okay, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to add this to my wet mixture because it gets it all nice and mixed in. Okay, now this is the stage where I can add my wet mixture to my dry. I'm just going to tidy up a little bit. Now, if you were going to add food coloring to your pancakes, okay, so for example, we are doing, one of the groups is doing a Grinch Santa pancake. This is where you'd also want to add your your food coloring. So you'd want to add it. Yeah, my brain is clearly not working this morning. Add your salmonella here. So this is where you'd want to add your food coloring. You want to add it to your liquid mixture, okay, before you add it to your dry. Okay, so just add that in. And this is a batter that you can mix really well, and you want to mix it really well. You don't want it to have any lumps or anything like that. Oops, I'm making a mess. Now mine will be a little bit lumpy still because it has the banana in it. Now this is the stage where you can start to judge whether or not you want to add more milk. So if you notice this mixture, that's quite thick. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more milk to this. So just add a little bit at a time. You can measure it out, maybe like a couple tablespoons at a time. And my pans, I can hear they're almost preheated, which is nice. So you want your pancake dough, if you want it nice and thick, okay, this is about the consistency. I like mine a little bit thinner. So I'll show you the consistency that I like it at. And also, if you'll notice, as it sits too, it does get thicker. The baking powder starts to activate more. Yeah, so this is the consistency that I like my pancakes. So nice and runny, because I like them a little bit thinner. Okay, now I'm going to add, before I start cooking them, I'm going to add some chocolate chips. Okay, so I'm just going to eyeball this. But I'd recommend you guys definitely do your measurements. Add a few more. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to save my whisk in case I need to whisk it up some more later. And at this stage, I want to grab either a ladle or a spoon, kind of like this, to spoon it into my pan. Now, before I do so, you want to make sure, okay, this is getting warm. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Okay, you want to add some oil to your pans. So I said in the recipe about a teaspoon. I'm just going to eyeball it. So you just need about that much. And you can either move it around like this, or you can find your pastry brush, okay, in your drawers, and you can evenly spread it out in your pans so that it covers all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to start adding my mixture. Now remember, I'm trying to do a snowman, so I'm going to start off with one large, one medium, and one small. I do, but it's kind of broken. Yeah. So that's my large. My medium, all of my chocolate chips are going to the bottom. Okay, my medium, I'm going to do smaller. They might touch a little bit in the middle, but that's okay. And then I can do my small over in this pan for the head. Put this back on the heat. Now, how can you tell if your pancakes are done? Yeah? Yes, you'll notice a lot of bubbles rising to the surface. Okay, I'm going to do another one over here, another couple small ones, because I'll give you guys some of the small ones as a taste test. And one of them will look good for the head, I'm sure. Okay, so again, you want it about medium, medium-high. And all you do is you wait for the bubbles to rise and break the surface, and then you can flip it over. So there's a couple things that you can use to flip it over. If your pancakes are really small, you can use one of these. You just have to be careful not to scrape the bottom of the pan. So you don't want to be like really digging into the pan, because this will scratch the pan, and these are new pans, so please don't do that. The other thing you can use is try a flipper, but I do find sometimes, especially if the pancakes are really small, they're hard to get under because they have a quite thick lip to them. I don't know. Plus these are like cheaper. They're not as expensive. So, or you can kind of try and use both.
Just use the sander from Mr. Boss's class.
So this one, I don't know if you guys can see, the bubbles are starting to rise and break the surface. So what I can do is I can just gently lift it up and see underneath. Yeah, this one's looking good. I think the heat is too high on this too a little bit. So you can always just use this one even just to try and help get underneath. This one's stuck together. Just trying to try and gently get those apart. There we go. So you can almost use this to try and like lift it up onto your flipper. And then what I like to do, this is a trick that I like so that it's nice on both sides, is I like to just spread the oil a little bit around and flip. Now it's a little overcooked, but that's okay. Little oil and flip. Okay, so you can see my heat was just a little bit high. They're a little bit overdone. So I'm just going to set it aside just for a minute to cool down. I think these ones will probably be better. Yeah, these ones are perfect. So the little ones, you don't really have as much time. You can just get under and flip quickly. Get under and flip quickly. Okay, so you're just going to continue to do that for all of your pancake batter. Once you get towards the end of your bowl, of course you want to use a rubber spatula to scrape it all, to get it all out so that you're utilizing all of your batter. Okay, and I'm just going to pull out a couple of chocolate chips to use to decorate. Now these ones aren't going to be as tasty because they're a little overdone, but that's okay. Let those cook for just another little bit. The other thing is too is because of the chocolate chips are in the batter and it's a thinner batter, they kind of went to the bottom, and sugar tends to burn more quickly. So you definitely do have to be a little bit more careful when you have a sugary batter. Yeah?
Also with the chocolate chips, you can also just sprinkle them on top.
Yes, you can do that too. If you just want to. Oh, really?
I know it works with blueberries.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, you can try that too, definitely. See, learning something new every day. I have learned to do that before. Okay, so make sure these are good. The little ones are almost cooked. Let's check these ones out. These look almost done. You want them nice and golden brown on both sides. So I'll just wait another second. You can clean up. The other thing that you can do tomorrow is I do have some extra, I have got 3 little squeeze bottles. So if you want to do specific shapes with your pancakes, now mine I couldn't do obviously because I have chocolate chips in it, so that's not going to come out of the little hole. But if you just have a plain pancake batter, maybe that's colored or something like that, you can put your pancake batter in here using a funnel. Okay, and then you can actually just like draw on the pan with this. So that's really fun. That's a fun option. Okay, so let's see how these are looking. That's looking good. So the one side is cooked nicely, so I'm going to use that as my presentation side. Always thinking about presentation. So I'll move this bowl out of the way so you can see. Do the same with this one. So big, medium, and then this one is a nice, perfect little one here. Just like so. Okay, and then I can just use a couple chocolate chips on top to give him some buttons and some eyes. Okay, I don't have a nose, so I can just use another one of these as a nose. I could use some sprinkles if I want, but there you go. Yeah?
You also have like the end of the banana.
Oh, yes, that's true. Use some banana as the nose or the mouth, or a little, you can make a little top hat. Yeah, you guys can be super creative tomorrow when you're making your pancakes. This one I would probably just serve with maple syrup, but I know that some of you tomorrow are going to make some of your own icings and things like that, so that's going to be really exciting. Okay, so that is it. I'm just going to stop the recording.